Log on to kcbzradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at kcbzradio.com.
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situations and circumstances. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. How can we see each other with only a glance?
Cake mixing, race mixes, matrix, kill the witches, 3 digits, made of 6s.
Oh yeah, and welcome back to Situation and Circumstances. Of course, you're here at kcbzradio.com. That's kcbzglobal.com, chambersradio.com, KCBZ Destination Global. Music is life, life is love. And I will be, I'll be one of your hosts. My name is Mr. Classiq, Anthony AJ. Depends on where you know me from. As long as I don't owe you anything, I was always told, then I'm okay. And so, of course, I'm here with TBT, the best team. You guys say what's happening to the people out here.
Hi, y'all.
What up?
It's Mariah.
Joe.
All right. What voice is that? Get that guy some water. What's going on? You all right? What's
good,
going on
brother?
Today? All right.
Yeah, Stella.
I know he's all right because we were having quite the conversation on the way here. Just about the word ghetto and tell him a little bit, just as a taste of something that we might even talk about a little bit more in depth. But tell him a little bit about your position on this word ghetto.
Man, we have to unlearn what we've been taught. Every definition that we've been taught from 3 years to now, we must unlearn it, and we have to change the narrative because most of everything has been. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Now I'm dropping stuff on the table. Okay, go ahead.
But no, that's it. We have to just change the narrative. Everything in America has been whitewashed. Mm-hmm. Almost every definition. So we just have to change that and grab it and make it do what it do, like Ray Charles said.
Yeah, I'm with you. Of course, as I said to you then, there's a lot of situations and circumstances where this word is used in different ways, and that's something we'll definitely talk about. Must mention, we sit in that sweet spot of perpetual metamorphosis layered with perspective. All over the world, there is a situation and circumstance. And so last week we talked about, as well as shared some of our goodbyes with one of our heroes. And so we want to make sure that we sent him sent him farewell the right way. And we want to say also to John Singleton, we want to send you send you away the right way and the correct way, and that is to just wish you all the praises and the prayers and the beautiful afterlife. And we want to thank you for the things that you've done for us culturally, as well as the way that you've enhanced the very marketplace which we still find ourselves working in and working around and working through. And so definitely want to give a shout out to them. We're going to get into a few things today. One of the things we're going to talk about is race obligations. And so we're going to have maybe like a 4-part to this race obligation part. And it's just, what are the obligations to one's race? And so today we're going to talk about marrying out of race. And so, we got to do it. We got to do it. Right?
Wasn't my idea, y'all. Okay.
We don't do it. I remember Red Fox said when they told him he had married out of his race, and they said I married out of my race. He said, what are they talking about? He said, what I marry a duck? He said, I married a human from the human race.
Human
right?
race, yes.
I'll never forget him saying that. But we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're also going to talk about sex tapes and politics, and the way they kind of intermingle and interflirt with each other, right?
Okay.
And so we're going to go into both of those things when we come back. Until then, get ready for one of our favorite songs here from Nipsey Hussle called Hustle and Motivate here at KCBZradio.com. This is Situation and Circumstance.
Log on to KCBZradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at KCBZradio.com.
That's how you hand somebody they class. Yeah. Yeah, that he said a lot.
He did.
He said a lot. So I don't know, we can attack this and address this in so many different ways. And I can already imagine the numerous phone calls we're going to get regarding this particular topic. It's crazy. I'll tell you what, so that was Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar, he was on
Roland Martin.
Roland Martin, thank you. And so that's who he was being interviewed by. And then, of course, they showed also there's a clip in there from the Breakfast Club. But yeah, for me, it feels like there's something to what he's saying. Okay, right? There's something to. So when I look at it from the perspective of, okay, if there's a certain amount of our black men incarcerated, and then there's this this generated turmoil within the areas that we live with where our brothers and sisters live. There's this, as we all know, there's this socioeconomics. There's the educational system. All these things that are designed not only against people of color, and particularly black people, but people of color in general, but also things that are set up to destroy the fabric of our households, where they want us to not be able to breed, and I hate to say the word breed as if we're animals, but just being real with it, they don't want us to be able to breed. They don't want us to be able to have people that look like us. Yeah. And when you look at the statistics, well, some would say that, they've been winning, because we have, there was a period of time where African Americans were the second largest what would you call it, minority in this country. And then our numbers have just kind of dwindled. They haven't lessened, but they haven't increased in a big way or a major way. And so I feel like what he's saying is, okay, well, not only do you need to stay with a black woman so that you have black children, but you need to stay with a black woman because it is part of the only way that's gonna, it's part of the, how would we say, it's part of, it's a major part of survival for us, because if we don't, there won't be people who look like us, right? On the other hand, I'm a firm believer of you love who you love. And so how far does that go, right? Yeah. And so then what if you're just, I don't know. You guys tell me what you think about it. Because I could go on, but you guys tell me what you
Julius, I saw you shaking your head like yes, in approval.
Yeah. You
approve.
Yeah. He said I don't necessarily lose respect for people who marry outside the race, but I do most of what he said, 99% of what he said, yeah, I agree with. It's a survival mechanism. Black men, responsibility is a black woman. Period. Before we organize in the city, the state, the government, we have to organize home. I mean, home is first. Today, before I had to pick up Aunt, I do this, like I love doing this, but I had to pick up moms from BART. Like that's home. This is, again, I love this. This is a responsibility, but home is a priority. And you can't have priorities. You have a priority, right?
But that's because she's your mom.
That's because it's home. That's home. That's my, like, responsibilities. You have multiple responsibilities, but a priority, there's like a priority, like it's the most important thing in my eyes. Like you can't have multiple priorities. I don't like how We switched the word to
Are you
priorities.
saying your number one priority is to marry within the same race?
The black structure is my most is the priority.
Okay, wait. So I like that you asked them that question because then it would be and I just wanted some clarity here. So it doesn't sound like you're saying one should marry in their own race. It sounds like you're saying particularly within the black community that this needs to happen. Is that what you said?
Well, that's what my focus is. I can't speak for other races.
Yeah.
But for black people, yes, we must take care of home. And home is those who look like you, those who has experienced that struggle, those who grew up in the same mentality, those who have been oppressed the same way, not similar being oppressed, like, oh, well, they did this back there. We have a similar type of oppression. No, I'm talking about those who have been precisely through what you went through.
But can't you be there for your people that look like you, that have been through what you've gone through, without having to just marry and make sure that you marry within the same race? Meaning you can be there for your same people without having to make sure that you're also making sure that you're marrying somebody that's in the same race. Because what if you fall in love with somebody that's outside of that and you're going to tell them, I'm sorry, I can't, because you're outside of this and you're other? Are you going to say no to that? And you're going to deny your feelings and their feelings too, and the truth of what you feel so deeply? Like, you're going to say no to that just because you don't look like me? Isn't that what we're trying to stop anyways? And so that's why, like, this topic makes me sick. Like, I'm sick right now. I feel sick. Like, because I'm thinking about my family. If this were to be true with them, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here the way that I am right now. My whole family
being here, being
existing.
Yeah, right. But that your makeup being for our listeners.
Okay, so my makeup, I'm mixed. So my grandfather on my mom's side is European, Filipino, Native American, Mexican. I have a granddad that's black, and so my whole lineage with my aunts, uncles, cousins, all of them, they would not be here. Everybody that's been affected by them would not be affected because they didn't exist. I would not be the same person because the things that I've gone through because of their existence makes me who I am too. And so they affect so many people, but no one would exist. I am an accumulation of the exact thing that we're talking about. I'm not just one thing, and that's why people do not know what to do with me. Because immediately they just want to say you are this or you're that, but I am not. I am human. I'm part of the human race. And because somebody decided to create this word called race and make it outside of the human race, by the way, his name is Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, and he is German. He is white. Okay, so we have again a white person saying, I need to categorize everything to make it seem a certain way. But I just feel like if you are in love with somebody, if you feel something, you can't deny it. And you shouldn't deny it just because of the color of someone's skin, because it goes back to, like I said, everything that we're talking about as far as how people treat us because of the color of our skin. So I think there are ways to help, like you were saying. That's what I want to do too. That's what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. I'm helping women, for me, specifically women of color, have a platform to speak on, to speak their truth, to tell whatever it is that they feel like hasn't been told in the way that they know it to be true. Marriage is a whole other situation, though.
Right. Well, I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what your response to that would be, Julia. So she's taking the and it's one. And when I say she's taking, it's a route that I was gonna. So you just kind of beat me to the punch on that one, because I was gonna say similar things to start off with in terms of that whole love aspect of it, right? So you're in love with someone who's of a different culture, and then how do you speak to that from the perspective that you said of black being priority?
Man, well, you choose who you love. Feelings. You do. You choose. If you ask your wife, would you marry me? And she can say yes or no. You ask, can we go out tonight? That's a choice to respond via text. That's a choice to answer that phone call. That's a choice. If you don't want to marry somebody who's overweight, you won't. If you don't want to marry somebody who's broke, you won't. You can have feelings for that person, but you won't continue a relationship if you do not want to.
Okay,
so we consciously.
So if someone was, let's say I saw this white woman and thought she was attractive, but I'm dedicated to my black families.
Okay.
And so when I see her, it sounds like maybe what you're suggesting is, if I'm true to mine, then I won't even take the chances and the steps, like doing the calls and the dating and all of that, to get to the point where I'm in love with this person, to even have to say no, because I will not have even entertained it long enough. Yeah, okay, I thought she was sexy and attractive and all of that, but then I didn't act on it, right? I just went and just turned my head and went another way, as opposed to entertaining it, which could then, because I wouldn't have loved her. Because I don't agree that you can't. I don't agree that I do and I don't. I'm stuck in the middle of, can you choose who you love? I don't think you can choose that. You don't choose which time you fall in love, or which time you grow in love, or which time you've attained love, because you don't always know that until sometimes something has to happen for us, especially men can be a little dumber in this area. Sometimes something has to happen real odd for us to even realize that it was love. And then we realize, and it's like, oh, I feel a little different than I thought about this person. And then you realize it. So when you say you can choose it, I do feel like you can choose it in the sense of, you can choose not to do the things that lead to love. Well, but if you choose to do those things that lead to it, I don't know that I feel like you can't.
I mean, you choose everything in life. You choose literally everything in life, and now we can't choose who we love. Like we chose to drive together. You know, you chose this bottle. We chose the phone. Like, we choose everything in life, and now poof. It's like love is like the one thing in life we don't choose.
I don't even think it's the only thing, but I think that, okay, so here's the other part of this. So first of all,
that's crazy.
Sex is a very important component of a relationship.
Okay.
For a lot of us, right? For those who it's not important, kudos to you, and make sure that person you're with knows that, and instead of getting with someone who has a high sex drive and you don't like it at all. Don't get with me with that. You come with me meet me with what I have, which is a high sex drive. Meet me with that. Now, here's why I'm saying that. If a person is not sexually attracted to you and they get with you, all they're going to do is cheat. Because if a black man gets with a black woman, but from the first time he's seen something that aroused him, if that was something other than black, then he's pretending that he's attracted by what's over here. And so now what's going to happen is he's going to be with somebody forcing himself to be attracted. And the reason I say it this way, and it may sound kind of odd considering I'm black, and I love my black women, but I'll tell you this. I was with someone who was not black, who thought about people who were also non-black. Well, she didn't like the way their penis looked. She simply didn't like the fact that she could see through the skin. All right, so she liked a nice dark shaft, right? You see, I said that on the radio, nice dark shaft. That's what she liked visually. I'm bringing that up for a reason, because if that's all she's attracted to, then it doesn't sound reasonable that she would go somewhere else and be unattracted just to help the cause of her race. Same thing if it was a black woman and she's not attracted. I don't want no black woman who's only attracted to white men. And I don't believe that everybody who's attracted to something else forced themselves to be, because now we have to then have this whole other conversation that we'll probably have about choosing the same sex. Now, I don't want to add that in here just, for the sake of our time here. You're listening to Situation and Circumstance. We'll be right back.
Log on to kcbzradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at kcbzradio.com.
Yeah. And so, once again, we're back here at kcbzradio.com. This is Situation and Circumstance. I'm here with TBT, the best team. And, of course, I am Mr. Classiq, Anthony, AJ, and all that jazz. And so, so what's up, Julius? What you got to say, man?
Man, the black family was strategically dismantled for a reason. We have to do everything we can to put it back together. I mean, the family was literally destroyed intentionally. So we have to intentionally put it back together. And I have to do my role into doing that. I have an obligation to do so. It's before I can venture out and try to rule the world, before I can venture out and try to rule America, before I venture out and try to rule the West Coast, California, Oakland, Hayward, I have to take care of my home. And that starts organizing 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 6 people, 10 people. Then I could get to 1,000. Then I can get to 50. Then I could get to 1 million. Then I could get to a state. But
I wanted you to address, though, and I just want to, so before we went into, by the way, that was Masego, Black Love, that we were just listening to. And before we did that, I was just mentioning the whole part about, you know, what and or who I should say you're attracted to, the whole attraction part of it, the whole, if you're black and you're only attracted to a specific race or whatever the case may be. And I wanted to see what
you could be attracted
what your
to me.
response would be.
That's cool.
Because, I'm saying more to the fact of, if you're not attracted to your race, not that you hate them, not that you find them despicable, but you are attracted more to you're just not attracted. It just doesn't turn you on. So let's say you're a man, you're not attracted to black women. You go try to take one to bed because you're trying to fight for your race. You get in there, and your piece don't please. It just won't get up. It won't jump. It won't jerk. That thing won't happen because you just are absolutely not attracted. It's like some people are not attracted to larger women. Some people are not attracted to smaller women. So when that happens, are you suggesting that they still, like what, just still get with the black woman and send them some sperm? Or like, hey, let me just sperm dome you out real quick so that we have... I'm just trying to say, what happens there in that case?
Yeah, I mean, we all have a purpose. So if you're dedicated to that purpose, you do what you have to do for that purpose. Barack Obama was dating a white woman before. Martin Luther King was dating a white woman before. And they both told that person, I can't, for what I want to do, for where I see my life going, we have to cut this. Both of them.
Both of them were, which means that he was attracted to multiple colors of women.
Yeah, I didn't say nothing about attraction. I'm talking about who you commit to. They both committed to a black woman because of that was their purpose. So I'm not saying you have to like fake who you're committed to. I mean, excuse me, who you're attracted to. But if you're committing to the fight, that doesn't end, just at the presidency. That doesn't just, like Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier, all of these cats, Kanye West, all of these cats who married Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. That's cool, but I question their loyalty. I ultimately question their loyalty when it comes down to it. I really do. If we're in a race war right now, if y'all don't know, but if I was married to a white woman and a race war popped off right now and had to defend physically the person who I committed to or my people, I don't want to have that confusion. Who you marry is who you are. That's a direct reflection of who you are. If Tiger Woods had to, or Michael Jordan or Sidney Poitier had to be like, hey, today is about to go down. And all of my people, my offspring is all white. That's cool. But if they had to decide at that split second who I'm about to go outside and fight for physically and die for, I don't know who they might have done that for. Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Jay-Z, Barack Obama, myself. There's no confusion. When you see a Tiger Woods, it's like, when you see a Kobe Bryant, you're like, when you see
I don't know where the confusion part comes from, though.
Precisely, you see what they're about.
I don't agree that it's. I do agree that people are confused. I don't agree that I don't agree in the examples that you've given necessarily.
You don't have to.
All of that is confusion.
Okay.
Because it's similar to this, and this is like one of the issues in the black community, right? Is that okay? You have a young man who's gay, and it's not accepted by a large percentage, or at least in certain aspects, it's not accepted in certain homes, especially by the black man and these kind of things. So you know what that black male does? That black male who's only been attracted to men since as early as he can think of, he is now with a woman because he's trying to make other people happy.
Okay.
And so now he's on the down low doing some stuff he don't have to be doing. Now he's doing all these other things because he doesn't feel comfortable to come out. Whereas I'm of the opinion of this. I'd rather him be able to come out comfortably, set that woman free to be with someone who is 100% into her, while he goes and he gets to be what he's 100% into. And so I feel like coming from the same ethnicity as you, I don't believe that it's required that I do believe it's required that we find attraction in our own, in terms of not going for this robotic view of the pedestal that white women have been put on, and she's been put on that pedestal towards every other race in the world. She's on that pedestal. I feel like we do have to change some narratives in terms of that, but I feel like if you're a black man and all you really want is a white woman and that's what you're attracted to, then that's what you should go after. Okay. Because you're not helping us anymore by being with a black woman that you're going to disgrace because you're not going to treat her right because you're not even interested in her like that. You're just doing it because of what you just said. Yeah. You're doing it to try to help your race, but that ain't the same story of when you mentioned Martin and those guys because, they ended up with a black woman, and I guarantee you they've always been attracted to black women too. Which is the difference. The reason attraction is important is because if you're not attracted to a person, it's going to be so much harder for the love thing to happen a certain way if there's no attraction there.
Okay.
I think that's what we just heard right before we started talking was we have to look into why we're attracted to certain people. We should question everything that we think and feel, period. And then with this particularly, it's why are we attracted to that person? So he was saying, I want someone white because I want to know that I'm on the same level, that it's really saying like, I'm adequate enough. I am enough, just like you're enough. So therefore I'm going to do this. So look into that. Why are you not attracted to these people? But then it goes back to this. And I was listening to you talk, Julius, and you were saying, it's a race war. And so I'm sitting here thinking, I wonder why do I feel so different? I have never been able to say that I'm in one quote unquote race. And so for me, there's always been that war. And so I realize it's more than just a race war. It's a spiritual warfare that's trying to go within and say that, make sure that some people say that those are other people, whether that be, we're talking about race right here. So instilling in them that race is other. Feel this way about that person. Now, this is your tribe. They are not your tribe. So then for me, it's really difficult to feel that because I've never been able to say that I'm one race. And I cannot say that I prefer this one or that one more because I am a whole of these things. So it makes sense that because you are one quote unquote race. I am not one, right? I'm an accumulation. So therefore, it's like if that's the argument, then then what, should I just go in the middle of all the races in this race war and just say you can kill me first? Go ahead.
Biracial people, you can only date other biracial.
Right, but then it's like, okay, so then who's not biracial then? Who's not?
Right. Well, and so, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is like, where does it end? That's my thing. That's been my whole thing since I was a kid, is realizing like there is no end. There's always something you can contrive with that. And so for me, it goes beyond that, and it goes to the human race and being like standing up for each one that is not being stood up for in the broader scheme of things. So like, yes, people of color, but now narrow that down even more. So what is it like in Latinx community? What is it like in the Black community? What is it like? So like helping in that regard versus now I have an obligation to marry and feel a certain way about somebody just because of the color of my skin. And I get that what you're saying, Julius, and saying like this is what we've been going through. Like, we need to help each other in that. I think that marriage is much different. It's a much different topic outside of that. That's what I think it's, because now you're saying I can only marry this person or that person. Now we're always going to stick in our colors, and we're not going to be able to go outside of that and create different colored humans, different humans that think differently, that feel differently, because of what is being brought from other cultures. That happens too. So it's like there's beauty in everything, and I think that's what I'm trying to see here in that too. Is like there's beauty in keeping that culture continuously going, and there's also beauty in creating multicultural families too.
I agree with both of those.
Really?
But in this way. So I'm very Malcolm Martin in this way. I really would love for the world to be the whole big melting pot. That's what I love about the Bay Area. I love that people make a conscious effort to coexist. So that's what I would love. So that's the part of me that I love about Martin. I do wish that dream of everybody seeing each other in a level, and the playing field was level, and those who need to atone and give reparations and all the things could. I wish that could happen. The Malcolm part of me is the part of me that's, you know what, that's just not the reality. So I'm not against anyone black feeling like I'm not against anyone black trying to create a situation where blacks are staying within their culture to produce more black people. Because if I was against that, I'd be against my own skin. So I'm for that.
Okay.
I'm just not for choosing. I'm not for. I do believe a person has the right to love who they're going to love. I just feel like they have that right. I'm not saying that they have that right based off of any religion or any of these other things, because it would be then a whole different conversation. But I believe that a person has that right. Yeah. And yeah.
Well, with that, I think it's unfair for people outside of the relationship. Whoever they're going to love is who they're going to love. People outside of that relationship need to let that be and respect that. And not letting it be, have their say in it just because you think that you have your say, because that's not your relationship. That's not who you're loving. So I think, and what I mean by that is, like, for instance, going back to my grandparents, I can go back to me too, because this has happened the same with me, is when I'm dating outside of someone who looks like the color of my skin, their family, their friends, everybody in their community has their 2 cents on why we should not be together. And they're not in this relationship at all. So if you are outside of that love, you have no say in that love, period. And that's where I stand on that. Feel how you feel about your culture. That's awesome, dope. Keep doing that. I think it's outside of that. That's where you do not have a say. That's where I stand with that.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I mean, love who you love. That's cute. But we have to be way more. We have to be like way more. We have to be intentional. Like, feelings, we can't like live our life. Our feelings, we can't like. Marriage is a commitment. Who you commit to is like, that's long term. We can't just be like, oh, I feel like. You can feel a song after that song is over. It's over. Like, we have to like consciously think who are people who we want to be with. We have to. We can't just fall in love. That's dangerous. Falling in love. That's dangerous. Like, you don't fall into anything safely. Like the action of falling.
What's crazy?
It's like, what? I fell into this ditch. You're like, well, now I'm injured. I fell over a chair. Like, that's the act of falling into something is a bad thing. Yeah. We have to do these things consciously. We have to intentionally walk into things.
We can make our minds think anything, though. We can make our minds shift any way that we want, and we can believe anything that we want to as well. So thinking is dangerous as well. Yeah. Thinking is dangerous. Feeling is dangerous. And I think that's the thing, is it's like, both are dangerous.
Well, feelings change in a second.
My mind changes in a second.
Well, I mean, that's another thing that's things should be concrete and things should not be concrete. Like feelings, emotions, that's a chemical. Those literally change in a second. If I hit someone, that can hurt for 10 seconds and then they cannot feel that, right? But if I like say, hey, this is hard. Like this is literally hard. It's not what I feel. This is hard. The paper is literally hard. It's not something that I feel it's hard.
But let me ask you a question.
Fact.
And you recall that person that you were in love with, right?
Okay.
Do you?
Okay.
I'm asking.
The person I was in love with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you recall that person?
I do.
Okay. Because I'm wondering, I'm kind of wondering, is there a person that you've been in love with? Mm-hmm. And how did you know?
Yeah.
Because you're talking about something that if you haven't been in love, I think you can describe it, but I don't think you can internalize, or I don't think you can understand it the way someone could understand it that's been in it.
Okay. I'm not saying I'm not, feelings
No,
exist.
but what I'm saying is, if you've been in love, then there's something else that you know about the power of it that would tell you that I can't just shut this off just because this person is this color or that color. And that's why I said earlier, it's a little different if you didn't take the steps leading towards falling in love with that person.
Right.
Then it's like, okay, I need to be with a black woman, so I'm not going to date anyone else, so that I am sure that whoever I end up marrying and that's having kids and whatever, that they're going to be black. But from the moment, if you're one of like most men and you're out there just dating whoever and you plan on ending up with one or the other, but you're dating whatever, you're taking every time you date someone that's not your color, you're taking the chance of falling in love.
Agree.
Because you don't know when that's going to happen or if it's going to happen.
Agree.
Right?
Right.
And so again, I'm saying if you're dedicated to your race in the sense of, you know what, I'm so dedicated that I'm going to give all of me to my race, and that means that I'm not going to date anybody or blah, 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 blah.
Bingo.
I'm not against that. Every culture is doing that. It only becomes a problem sometimes when it's somebody that's black that says they're going to stick with their own. But there's a lot of cultures who soon as you bring a black man in that house, not just white, all kind of people done assimilated to that belief, to where as soon as you bring somebody black into that house, they go through that.
All right, just want to remind y'all you're listening to KCBZradio.com, KCBZglobal.com, chambersradio.com. KCBZ, Destination Global. Music is life and life is love.
And you were just looking at part one of race obligations, marrying outside of one's race. We're going to keep that conversation going. We're going to have some more parts coming up soon for that in the next couple of weeks.
That's it.
What we're going to do next is we're going to talk a little bit about sex tapes and politics. We're going to talk a little bit about sex tapes and politics when we come back. Sex, tapes, and politics.
Log on to kcbzradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at kcbzradio.com.
All right, y'all, welcome back to Situation and Circumstances. We just got into a heavy conversation. Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh my gosh. We go on for that for hours. Really. I mean, how do y'all feel about that?
I mean, you know what? Look, it's our show. Let's just talk about it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all want us to talk about it? Let's talk about it.
What I was saying at the break to them was based off of what Anthony was saying. The saying that goes, falling in love at first glance, or however you want to say it. But there's a reason for that saying, and anybody who's ever gone through that will understand it. I myself have gone through it. I know other people who have had that moment. And what I was saying to Julius is, because I didn't have blinders on to any person, because I was single and I was just open to any possibility, my heart, my mind, my whatever you want to say was open, and therefore the instant him and I locked eyes, we fell in love. Now, had I have blinders on, I wouldn't have seen him. I wouldn't have cared. He would have just been a fly on the wall. I don't give a hoot. And then the other person that I mentioned, she was going to get married the next day. when her soon-to-be spouse came with his groomsmen rehearsal. One of the groomsmen and her caught eyes, and that wedding was no longer. They instantly fell in love, and then they got married, and they've been married ever since, happily. Again, obviously, like, there was something in her that was not 100%. The blinders weren't fully up. There was a barrier that was down. So if the blinders or if the walls aren't completely up and opposed to certain things, then of course there's going to be room for things to come and filter in. And so at that point, like, that's where it's like anybody can get married or fall in love and get married to anybody unless the blinders are up.
I mean, here's what I'll say about that. There's a lot of what you just said that, once again, there's a lot of truth in that. I think that I don't know that it is. I feel like there's a different level of relevance to this this whole mission that Black people have to empower, to grow, to get back what was taken, to just this whole there's so much work that we have to do as a people for things to happen a certain way. And so I certainly don't want to sound like so I can't allow myself, like, I honestly believe that we need Black men to believe that there is no other woman they should be with other than a Black woman. I believe it's absolutely necessary for our race to survive that we have some Black men feel that way, especially in a climate where we do have this picture of our Black men getting to a prestigious point or getting rich and then leaving, and then maybe they were with Black women all that time. Then all of a sudden they marry someone outside of their particular race, and then we see a lot of that. And so I believe it's necessary. I believe in part as part of the this war that I agree is happening, whether or not we think it is. I do agree with Julius in that there is a war and there's been one and it's already happened. And I do believe that we need Black men to think that. I mean, excuse me, not to think that, but to feel that, to embrace that. We need that to happen. I just don't believe that every Black man is responsible. It's almost like sometimes I find myself being in a position, like even now, where I'm forced to have to give this thing that is reflective of my whole race. Like I'm Black, so if I get rich and I get famous, then everything I say from that point on I have a responsibility for it to reflect all Black people. And when we do that, then we're acting like there's this one magic button that means all Black people are the same. And because we're not the same, then we have varying views, just like every other culture. But for some reason, when we do it, it becomes this other thing, like he said it, so it's true for all Black people. And that's the definition of a stereotype, is if it's not true for all, then it's a stereotype. If it's different for just one, then it's a stereotype. So again, yeah, sure, we need that. I'm married to a Black woman, happily married to a Black woman. I also have kids from a previous marriage that are not Black. They are biracial. And I'm happy about that as well. And I feel like I always knew that I would be, and my intention was very clear that I would support my people and be with a Black woman, but not because she was Black, but because she was Black and I loved her. And if I hadn't found a Black woman that I loved, I wasn't going to go loveless because of that. I was just going to have to look elsewhere. But yeah, I was very intentional in finding someone to be with me the rest of my life that was Black.
Gotcha.
But I don't believe that if I hadn't found that through love, that's where I think the feelings are connected.
But you said
I can love someone that's not Black.
Yeah.
But
you was intentional on. Okay, you said it, not me, brother.
Well, right. I don't think that's contradictory. I think that's a situation and circumstance.
But you said you was intentional on what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the same thing I said. That's the same thing. You have to be intentional.
But I think I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
You did it.
But here's what it is. When you imagine yourself in the future, everybody imagines not everybody, but lots of us imagine ourselves with whatever that ideal person would be that would be next to us. Mm-hmm. And I find it hard to believe that people, in a lot of cases, I think that everybody probably sees one color of a person, whoever that may be. Okay. So if you're white and you're a white woman and you think about yourself in the future with your spouse, that could be a black man, it could be white, it could be a Latin lover, whatever it is. But I believe you see yourself with that person. Okay. And then it doesn't mean you're going to end up with them. It doesn't mean that you have to. But I do believe that you have an image of what that person would look like. Mm-hmm. So the image for me has been and had been for the longest time that it would be a black woman. Mm-hmm. But I don't believe if something were to happen and my wife and I weren't together, it doesn't mean that someone else couldn't. It doesn't mean that I would stifle myself because of that. Or I don't know if stifle is the word I want to use, but I wouldn't not date other cultures just because I don't want to take the chance of falling in love with them and then end up not being married to a black woman. I would date whoever I wanted to, and then even if my vision is for it to be a black person at the end of the day, for it to be a black woman, ultimately, if I fell in love with someone else in that process, then I fall in love with them. And I'm going to still do my part for my people. So I don't believe that the pain and the struggle that someone puts into doing things for their people should all of a sudden be discounted because they married someone who's not black.
Mm-hmm. You think that, like Harry Belafonte, we have great respect for him, right? Like as a culture. You know, him and Eartha Kitt. I'm going to just, this quote real quick. She was sleeping with him, right? She said, I'm talking about the 50s when Harry Belafonte picks me up out of his bed in Philadelphia and said, I don't want you to take me seriously because no black woman can do anything for me. Harry said this, the fighter. I don't want you to take me seriously because no black woman can do anything for me. I cannot help him to progress into where he was going to go. A black woman would hold me back. That's what he told me. If I wanted to marry a black man, there wasn't one because the white girls had them. Harry Belafonte told a black woman this. Okay.
You saying that to me like I went on a pro Harry Belafonte.
No, I'm saying this is relating back to what I said about you. I can't fully trust their intentions or their loyalty. I question those loyalties who might be for the cause on paper, but their true loyalty is not for that. It could be beneficial. It could just be the wave. I don't know if Harry would have been doing the same thing if it was in the 80s and the 90s as it was in the 50s and 60s. I don't know.
But then here's where that doesn't make sense. Okay, so we feel like, I don't mean everybody who's listening, but we certainly feel like things are divine, right? We feel like there's no mistakes. We feel like everything's God's plan, right?
Some.
I think if it's not God-given, it's God-used, but continue.
Okay, so there's a reason why if we took out everybody who and just like you, goes to what you said much earlier, because you're biracial, and so if we take out everybody that's biracial, because let's say we can reverse the clock and we can take back all of these men that married outside their race, didn't do that. There's ain't no Obama, ain't no Malcolm X, ain't no Julius, because you might have a touch of white in you somewhere down the line.
But the one thing that was guaranteed was I was going to be black. Okay? Before I was a man, before I was a Christian, before I was here in Oakland, the one thing that was guaranteed 50 years ago was I was going to be black. The one thing that was guaranteed when Malcolm and what's his father's name? His father. He was going to be a black man. So you're not talking about the offspring. We're talking about the beginning.
That's what Dr. Umar actually says.
Right.
He says you don't blame the child.
Right.
So he kind of says something similar.
Right. That's where I got it from.
But that's where you got it from. but here's the thing. Okay, you don't blame the child. So how much black do you have to have in you for you to be considered a black man dating outside your race?
You just got to be black and
No,
embrace
no,
it.
no. But so what I'm saying is, if Obama had married someone white, was he dating outside his race?
Yep.
Why? Because we see him black because he played basketball and smoked Newports?
Because he's black. He's black. The same
Because of what they said about the drop of... I'm just trying to... What determines that? Because of the drop of the one drop of black blood?
how...
Because then what I'm wanting to ask you is...
I got to answer that one first.
Oh,
okay.
hey,
No, I mean, you the one that throwing the questions out there. I'm trying to stay in line, brother.
I'm just trying to create situations.
Just don't forget your question.
That
What was
might
your
make
question?
It okay to, no, go and answer it.
How the world treats him, how, going back to our last one, you
Yes.
said, like, what makes someone black? And I was talking about, this. You were talking about their experience can make them black.
Right.
The experience that he went through
That's right.
made him black. When he was talking about getting on the elevator and then a white woman refused to get on the elevator and she just waited just because he was about to get, he's like fair skin, all this good stuff, but she waited because she saw him as a black man. Jordan Peele, who makes these great movies, he's dating outside his, he's dating outside his race. He's mixed. He's biracial, but he's dating outside his race in my eyes. So his experiences along with how he looks, his perception of the world, he put himself in that box, I believe, as well.
So if
to
he
make
dates
himself a black
someone,
man.
if he dates someone that reminds him of his mother, he would be wrong because he looks more like us and his mother.
never
is
said
white.
the wrong word.
First of all, I don't know if his mother is white or his dad's black. I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm not sure.
don't know.
But let's just say, for sake of argument, hey, Peel, we don't know what your makeup is. Who's what? But if let's say his father is black and his mother is white, and often, and they say that you marry someone that's a lot like your mother.
Right.
Right. Who's they? They say that, right?
They.
But so if he did that, then he would be.
I didn't say he would be wrong.
But he would be marrying outside of his race, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Even though his mom would be white and he's dating somebody white. But that is his race.
Okay. I mean,
But
he
I get where you're going with that.
I mean,
His race is what the police
treated
see
right.
as,
He's
right?
treated as a black person. Like that's.
I get that
So
part.
I guess that's the confusing part, though, too, because then for him, as Jordan, that's why I'm saying it's for the people within the relationship. Because for Jordan, for the sake of argument, he is dating within his race. If his mother is white, he's dating somebody white. He's dating somebody that is of his mother's race. In his eyes, he is dating somebody within his race. If this matters to you, okay? In this relationship, he is dating within his race. Outside of that, you say, or whoever else says, he's dating outside of his race because of the experience that you see for him and that you know. But that's outside of that relationship. So how is that fair that you get to say that he's dating outside of his race when he says he's dating within his race? Not saying that he's saying that, but just for the case of the argument.
Yeah, he could say that, but I mean that's the wrong thing. Like that's the watering down of the black family. That is the problem. That's why you have to intentionally do what you got to do. That's my issue. That's like if you look at Diana Ross family, everyone is like lighter than Michael Jackson. That's the issue. It's been watered down so much so that we have to say, well, his mom is this, therefore, and then it's going to continue going. We have to like. Such as like we spoke about earlier, Dr. King and Barack, they dropped him to marry black. And then he had kids black. That's furthering that culture. That's furthering the movement. But now if he had kids, and say if he had like 4 or 5 kids, and they don't want to have nothing to do with that black side of the family, then it stops there. If he was to die and all of the money went to that side of the family, who's to say that they're going to put those funds into something to propel the black community, the black family? Who's to say? But I know if Jay-Z and Beyonce, when they die, they got black kids. We know what that's going to happen because they're teaching them now. We see it in their music. We see it in the things that they're doing. We know that Malcolm and all of the 6, kids that he had, we see Muhammad Ali, all of those kids, what they're doing. Let's see what Tiger Woods kids do.
So you don't want...
Let's see what Kobe Bryant kids do.
So
let's see what Michael Jordan kids do. Let's see. And
culture.
then let's see what LeBron kids do. Let's see what Dwayne Wade's kids do. Let's just see.
But are you saying the culture and the movement
They
is
could
what
do
I
the
hear,
same
though.
thing that they could end up doing the same thing that Malcolm X did.
Yeah, they can.
You
and
just
anybody
don't-
else
They can.
who's,
So we'll
who's
see.
mixed and did or biracial and who did big things. They could.
And we'll see. And Malcolm's father was a Garveyite. So we see who he, right? We see who he flocked to. as far as his vision. Right? We see who the fighter was in that union when it comes to the mother and the father, and we see who he flocked to. We see where his mind was. It was a black dad.
I guess my thing is you don't want to lose the culture and the movement that's happening to make sure that the voices and what's happened is never deteriorated, and what is going to happen, what is continuing to happen as far as movement forward and progression isn't stopped. Is that what I'm hearing?
It will be stopped if
right, and
if opposite.
Right.
So I'm doing everything I can to not have that happen. I refuse to just go with the flow. I refuse to just embrace everything that this American society has told me to embrace. I refuse to do that. I refuse. And again, it's we all have our purposes in life, and I'm riding mine out. And it must start there for me. It must start there before I can get to a larger level. That's it. And I'm not saying I might not ever marry, but I know where my mind is. I know where my money's gonna go to. I know where who's gonna ride for me when I die. I know that, right? So I don't want that little bit of like, oh yeah, these kids about to wild out. They about to just.
Well, I tell you what, if Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier and
Sammy Davis Jr.
and all that, and we can go on. Here's my thing. Those individuals who are black that marry outside of their respective cultures or races, what have you, those individuals, if they do that and they're still doing things for their people, I would rather, hear me out, you already over there snickering. He's snickering. He's a little snicker.
Snicking.
And so what I want to say is that I would rather have a black man married to a white woman and that black man still do things for his black culture than to have a black man married to a white woman who turns his back on it. I understand that you'd rather have a black man with a black woman and just don't even have to worry about that. But my point is just to say that if it is going to happen, I would rather have one that is still supporting his people than not. Because what's happening is, yeah, we need to look at our women in a light that allows us to stay with them in the right ways, right? But what's happening is we're driving like a... I don't think it helps us to shun, or I think it helps us to have the discussion, but I don't think it helps us to shun people who then made opportunity for others to talk like you're talking. So I'm saying, like, there's a lot of people who even though they were with, and I get it, especially like I know there's a bunch of black women that want to call and say, drop the F-bombs on these dudes that's out here, and then they get rich and they get the white woman on and put her on the pedestal. I get that. I'm not saying that's better. I'm just saying that what's worse is a black man who does that same thing and turns his back on us. So I'd rather him be still throwing his money to his people like he should be and doing all of that part of it than the reverse of that. That's all I'm saying as far as that part of it goes. I get that you probably would prefer a lot more than that, but I'm just saying given what we have. Given what we have, it's already here. It already exists. So they're already here. Yeah. I'd rather that.
So turn your back, not to turn your back on the people, but turn your back on the woman. Right?
I don't think here's what I'm saying. I don't think every black man is built to handle a black woman.
Yes, they are. I mean, we're built
well.
That's literally.
I don't think so.
That's crazy.
I don't believe it.
So you, okay. Yeah, it's on you, Mariah.
I just feel like we're making these things mutually inclusive, and they're not. They're mutually exclusive. They're different situations under these circumstances.
Wow, that was a nice one.
You like that? Thank you. Yes. Because you can have one without the other, and that's what I'm saying. And by somebody going outside of, I hate calling it race because it's a human mother heckin' race.
Either, honestly,
it's a human race, and I think that's where it all started from. That's where it all started from the moment that person, and I don't want to continue saying his name because it is not fair that he gets the shine for this, because that's disgusting. The moment that he said we are different from each other and we should treat each other differently because of the color of our skin, that's when this all started. That's when this race war started, that has continued since that very moment. And even before that, when people started, they didn't label it yet. They did say that there are races, but they didn't say the word race. And so that's where it drives me insane, is because, oh Lord, because these are very mutually exclusive things. I fight all the time for all the different cultures that I encapsulate within me all the time. That is mutually exclusive to whoever I end up meeting, that I say, yes, I will now date you. And women have that as well. It's not just the men. It's the woman who gets to also say, yes, I will marry you. Yes, I choose to marry you. Just because you choose to propose to me does not mean that I get to marry you. No. But that's a whole other topic. But I think, because I keep hearing you, Julius, saying these things as one thing, and then Anthony saying them as two different separate things, marrying someone and having the capacity to shine light on and, lift up your community with whatever platform that you have. And then Julius, I hear and you bringing it together as one thing. For me, I see them exclusive.
Like race, that is, like even if we subtracted the word race, I mean, like Eritrea, they have 9 tribes. That would be dubbed races. That would be dubbed ethnic backgrounds. So like my tribe is black women. That's my tribe. Like that's who I belong to. The same way those, and again, I use Eritrea just because I have a little bit of knowledge on it. But Eritrea, they have 9 tribes, so they will marry those respective tribes. They will marry within that tribe. So this is not this is not new, like the term race, the idea of race, separatism, like that's not new. They did that centuries ago. We're just talking about in an American point of view of it.
I mean, Native Americans, they've had, that's part of my culture too. It's like you have your tribe. They're named all different things. And of course you marry within your tribe because it's like-minded. You grew up with that culture. You understand one another. It's your immediate community. It makes sense. You marry within your tribe.
Yep.
Right. It's happened forever. I think a part of that tribe too, now that, population has grown, the world has now, spread out. There's all these things. The tribe is like collectively, it is what you name it to be. It could be color. It could be based on different things that you like that are like-minded. There's so many different ways of describing tribe. And I think especially now, people say all the time, like, find your tribe. Who is your tribe? Hashtag tribe. And so now that word tribe, it's like, it is what you claim it to be nowadays. Right. And so for you, like you're saying, this is your tribe. That is what you claim your tribe to be. This is my tribe. And this is who I want to marry within this tribe. And so I think there's so many different tribes too, because you can also say that I'm a tribe of this, and I'm also a tribe of the community of the Bay Area. This is my tribe. I could say that if I wanted to, but I think it's also what you claim it to be. I think I'm a part of many different tribes. And I think that has a huge pull on it too.
Well, and then it's also the what situation you're in. So if you are raised in a town or a city or an area that you see a lot less of you, then you are probably going to be more attracted to whatever the majority of what's there around in front of you, which is going to be very different than if you. So I'm thinking about 20 years ago moving to the Bay and Oakland looking like Chocolate City, right? But where I just came from didn't look like Chocolate City. Mm-hmm. Looked very different than that. Mm-hmm. So all of those things have something to do with who you, once again, going back to attraction, it has something to do with who you're attracted to. And who you're attracted to at a certain age is who you're going to look for. And then depending on how, and here we go with the cliche word, here we go. Depending on how woke or lack of being woke that you are, you're not even thinking about that because you're 18 years old and you're not even thinking about marrying anybody. You're just thinking about going out there and getting you some. And so then you go out there and you get you some, and you're somewhere where the majority of the people there don't look like you, but that don't stop you from needing some. So you keep going to get some, and you find out there's more to this person than just some. There's a whole lot. And then you start catching feelings. And then you grow in love.
Catch feelings, yeah.
You grow in love. And because you got to keep in mind that everybody's not at the same age when they decide, if they ever decide to start being an activist, to start being active, if we don't want to give labels. Everybody's different ages when they decide to start being active. And I don't mean act sexually. I just mean active. Like going out there trying to you got your worldview and you're out there and you're trying to fight for it. And so there's a lot of things that can happen up to that point of getting that worldview.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these men are they're dating based on before they got woke, what they were attracted to and what they were liking. And you all of a sudden get woke and now that don't look good no more. Yeah. Nah, it still looks good. And so now what you do is one of two things. Okay, I'm going to go dedicate myself to this black woman, but I'm going to be screwing every woman that's not, because I never really stopped being attracted there. I just did this because of that. I just got with this black woman because I know we need it. When I'd rather you just go with what you wanted and leave all your money to them black kids. Like, that's one of the things that bothered me, like, for instance, about the whole what I hear happened with the Michael Jackson money. It was like, I'm leaving all my money to no one who looks like one version of him. Wow.
Goodness.
So that bothers me. That bothers me. Like, you could have slept with Brooke and Elvis' daughter and still left your money to Jamil and you know what I'm saying, and all them. You could have still did that. That kind of thing bothers me more than just the simple fact that you dated outside of or married outside of your race. That would have been more impactful. It would have left us some financial institution so that we could afford to make more people make a conscious effort to figure out more about us like yourself. I'd rather that be able to happen. And if that has to happen through somebody who sleep with somebody else, okay.
But where can it start? Instantly. At the house, at the family, before the outside get to you. Like that, it can start there. So we can nip all of that. If these cats weren't woke when they was 18, 19, they was just shooting shots at the club. Yeah. But if we nip that, if we woke them up at 5 years old, if we enlightened them at 6 and 7, if we told them about their history, they could be in an area of a 90% white people. That can happen. But if their focus, if their structure, if their foundation is that home and that's strong, then they won't even be heavily influenced by the outside. So if we can nip all of that at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the rest is easy.
Meaning, when you say nip it, you mean training
kill
our
all of that
children.
noise.
Teach them
like you said, like some cats, most cats, they go to the club and they just do what they do with chicks. But you said like around 18, 19, they just quote having fun. That's the thing. We need to teach them. They're of the world at that point. So if we can teach them at 2, 3, 4, if we can give them those history books, if we can enlighten them, then hey, we did our job. So
enlighten
my
them on
job
the beauty of black women?
Of their culture.
Gotcha. I just wanted to be
so
clear with what
for
you were
me,
saying.
my purpose is black people. So I'm gonna be saying, but I don't like dogging other races. So you won't hear me negatively speak about white people, Asian people. You won't hear me negatively speak about them, ever. My focus is black folks, black culture, black struggle. So, like, I have a nephew who's 9. That's my obligation to tell him about history. Like it's a necessity. He came home one day talking about nothing but Rosa Parks and Dr. King, which is cool, but there's so much more history than Dr. King and Rosa Parks. Like, they was teaching that when I was in school 20 years ago. So if all of his studies starts and ends at Dr. King and Rosa Parks, that's a problem.
Right.
So that's why he comes home, and I'm going to go give him that work. I'm going to give him those books. Because the school ain't. You know, so if we just let these kids just wander around like, right. And then they wake up on their own, that's the issue. We didn't do something. That's something that we didn't do. That's like a lack of guidance. That's lack of a fathership,
Parenting.
mothership. Yeah. So if we just 18, 19, and then they just, something was wrong in that process. Something was wrong for the 18 years. Something had to have been wrong. There was a missing link.
Right. Well, I believe that we acknowledge that, right? That there's a lot of work throughout all those years.
I just want to emphasize that it starts at the house. That's why we're talking about the marriage thing. So all the work can happen, but it must start at home. And the home starts with those parents.
Well, sometimes it starts with the kids teaching the parents, and then those kids have to then have kids so that they can teach those kids. And that's where the trickle effect starts, because some people don't even know where to begin. They don't even know that they're blind to all these things. They don't even know that. So now you have to go back and you have to teach one culture at a time all of these things about, and not just about your own culture, because now we don't want to just be about us. We want to learn about other cultures and teach about other cultures, so that way now we can respect and appreciate and be there for that too, and not just because other people have a platform. If you have a higher platform and you can speak upon and you can help uplift, give them the mic. Give them the mic so that they can talk, so that you can hear them and you can understand them. And I think it starts with whoever is woke, whoever understands, whoever has their eyes open. It's your duty to teach that next person, because you don't know who's not. And I think that's the other thing too. It's like sometimes a parent doesn't know that they don't know. And that's where it's a struggle too, is because like my family will tell you, I'm the first person in my family who talks like this, who is quote unquote woke. I never had anybody telling me, oh, a woman has a voice. Oh, I as a woman, I get to say something. Oh, I get to choose. I have a choice. And that's just as a woman. But now we want to get into color and all these races. No one talked about that in my family at all, ever. So now I'm the first person talking about, respecting everything that's happened in the past. Now we all have stories and we talk about that, but sometimes we sweep the feelings under the rug. But I'm the one that's prodding in a graceful way, in a way that helps us feel our feelings. But I'm the very first person now. Now I have to go and do the work to lovingly teach my family. So I think that's the issue too. That's just me and my one family with hundreds of people in it. Hundreds and hundreds just on one side. That's just me. Mm-hmm. And so now we have billions of families all over the world. So now we have to go and do the work with those families too. And it's every person helping each other be woke about their culture and representing that and loving on that. And also others too, and listening to those other people too.
And I think that that goes with some of what you said in there when you specifically mentioned, like even the children's part, and how I love what you said about the children, and I'm a firm believer of the children teaching the adults. I know that that to some can sound like, well, what do you mean? Like the adults have to teach the children for the children to teach the adults, but there's some things that we need to do in reverse, because there's a lot of power and strength in that. And when I think about that aspect of it, it makes me think of things like intent. And so when I look at, again, I'm not even a fan of some of those guys that have married whoever they married. I wouldn't care if they married a frogless duck.
You wouldn't care?
I wouldn't care. Marry a frog and send your money to black folks. It's all good. You marry if a black man marry a frog and he send his money to some other black kids, I support it. Okay. I'm kidding. Somebody gonna call it. You support frog fucking? Oh, they gonna have to. Oh, now 10 more seconds gonna come through. Wow. I said frog clucking. I'm making it worse. So, Yeah. So, hey, I don't know what those guys' intent was. I think that some of our people that did some things with us and married outside of their race, I think that, I look at intent, and I think maybe if they had certain heroes and certain aspects and certain things going on, maybe they would have did it different. Maybe they absolutely wouldn't have, because they found the love that they wanted. I can't say what would have happened, but I think similar to what Mariah's saying, there's certainly a lot of different situations and circumstances that can cause people to go the routes that they did, and without knowing the path, because you're not gonna go that, but you've known a lot for a long time.
I've known what?
You've known a lot for a long time. You have those people in place that have excited you about learning more and about knowledge and about all these different things. And some people didn't get that till they were a certain age. And even when they got that, they got parts of it. And then that part got turned on his back by some other stuff that they learned. Because I'm one of those people that it was this way. Then it was like, wow, it's this way all of a sudden. It's not even the case.
Right.
And so I think that as those things happen, they create certain atmospheres and situations. But we're going to certainly talk a lot more about this. This is part of a 4-part conversation. I know that we didn't get to sex tapes and politics. We didn't get to that. That's how we go. That's how they hate sex tape. And so we're going to certainly address that at another time. But we hope you've enjoyed the show. We will be back with more situation and circumstance in the upcoming weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we say this. We promise our listeners that we will continue to make beautiful mistakes. We embrace the opportunity afforded by our ancestors to speak, whether right or wrong, weak or strong. We be learning humans, working on liberation and scaffolding a meaningful and fair existence for all. Till next time, my netches. Assalamu alaikum.
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situations and circumstances. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. How can we see each other with only a glance?
Cake mix and race mixes, matrix, kill the witches, 3 digits, made of 6s, KKK or white privilege, old spirits, blood riches, real hatred, fake forgiveness, skinny image, fat problems, I don't really know how we solve them, gods made us, kings gave us, to enslave us, castaways on railways, underground dark web pages, Marvel heroes, connect the zeros, connect the pharaohs, bone barrow, Egyptian princes, dark and ancient, preserve the patience, black and Haitian, white and Asian, British coaches, eat crustaceans, ocean roaches, Illuminati, inject the bodies, GMOs, drug hobbies, Aboriginal, Pan-African, old biblical, reincarnation, hip-hop playlists, vocal ranges, sexist wages, sex changes, the game of life, bullets fly, ruin nights, players clueless, kids' rights, humans fight, nature loses, hard of hearing, dolomite, Darwinism, Garvanite, hates a virus, terabytes, hard to live with, parasites, come on!
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situations and circumstances.